Alrighty, guys. Good morning to you all here. It is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Hope you guys are all doing well out there this morning. And once again, a little bit of severe weather today is going to be the conversation. Most of the United States should actually stay quiet today in terms of severe weather. And really, in general, thunderstorms are going to have a nice little breakdown of our severe weather pattern here. We're still going to see some spurts of severe weather, but it's going to be, as I mentioned yesterday, nowhere near what we've been seeing. And honestly, a lot of people are going to be seeing warm above average temperatures as expected as we go through the month of June here and eventually into July. So the good thing I will note here as well is our two tropical systems that are out near the Pacific are weakening significantly. They're almost back down to tropical depression status. They were hurricanes yesterday. We had our first two hurricanes of the season in the Pacific Ocean yesterday. Good news also is that we are not expecting any type of tropical development in the Gulf or in the Atlantic Ocean in the next 15 days. So things are going to stay quiet tropical wise. We typically, can have some early season storms, so we really don't see much of anything until we get into the month of July and really into August and September. So we'll continue to watch things as things happen in that area there. But severe weather once again today in Texas and along the Gulf Coast here, going to be the conversation at bay here. There's also a couple little areas of shots of severe weather back up into California and then down into portions of Oregon and then back up as well up here into Montana that we're going to be watching for a wind and a hail threat later on this afternoon. But the main threat's going to be Texas again today, all the way through the Gulf Coast and along the East Coast here. Now, like I mentioned, we'll have these isolated days of severe weather. The main topic change today is going to be our pattern change that we're going to be seeing here. We're going to be eventually seeing what's going to be a ridge starting to develop as we go through the end of this week and into next week here, where a lot of people are going to stay dry underneath of that ridge. And on top of that ridge, specifically the high plains, the upper Midwest, maybe even getting into the far Northeast, could see a return to severe weather as we go through the next couple of weeks here. Still a little bit of time to figure that out, but we're going to kind of walk through that, kind of talk to you guys about what's going to be happening more long range wise today than anything. You guys can see we've got a couple of areas of showers and storms, and ongoing MCS this morning that brought some pretty large hail back to West Texas last night, is moving through Central Texas now. There could be a chance that this re-intensifies going through this afternoon here across Eastern Texas, Houston, getting into Louisiana. If that does need to be fitted there, or we do see that continue to strengthen, we will see a slight risk potentially be introduced along the Gulf Coast here. So damaging winds today going to be the main threat. Some small hail to medium-sized hail out there, 1 to 2 inches in diameter, and then we'll also have a tornado threat, a very small tornado threat back here into West Texas. Other than that as well, showers and storms exiting the East Coast here. You can see an upper level low that was up here bringing severe weather yesterday to the high portions of the northeast there into the Ohio Valley. Did actually bring a couple tornado warnings yesterday and a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings yesterday, but mostly yesterday was a damaging wind and a hail threat. So we're going to go and walk through this forecast, get you guys out the door here for today. Like I said, another thing I will mention, we're going to be doing a pretty long game stream today. We're going to have a lot of these little layback chill streams. If you guys want to come in, just chat. We can talk about weather. We can talk about anything. Just get to know some of you guys as my followers. We've gained a lot of followers and a lot of subs over the last couple of weeks here. Just want to get to know you guys, hang out with you guys, have some fun. We're going to be doing that over the next couple of days, as we really won't be covering lots of severe weather because there's not going to be much to cover. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. We're just going to hang out, have some fun, and we'll continue to do these videos every day for you guys as well. So I want to start out today, like I said, slight risk back down here into West Texas, southern Mexico, marginal risk up to the East Coast, Northeast there, two marginals up into the West Pacific here in northern high plains. Tornado risk for today as of right now, very small 2% tornado risk, not zero, but right now there's about a 2% chance within the 25-mile radius of a tornado happening here in West Texas and southern New Mexico. Not too shocked to see that there. Wind threat as well at 15% in that slight risk, 5% in the marginals for wind up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then the hail threat also, we do have a hatched hail threat once again today along the southern New Mexico and West Texas line here for hail 2 inches or greater. We saw a couple destructive hail warnings yesterday back in West Texas for apple-sized hail. Wouldn't be shocked to see that again today. And then 3 areas of marginal risks for small 1 to 2 inch diameter hail. I'll get to the timing on here in just a second here. We've got another risk for tomorrow, and I mentioned a big shift in our pattern. We're going to see another day of severe weather back down here into Texas, level 1 marginal risk, not too big of a deal. Then we're going to start to see this little change in our pattern, I should say. There will be severe weather shifting up to the high plains, up to the Rockies, up to the Midwest, up to the Northeast here as we change with time here, and that's going to help develop our ridge underneath of those severe weather days, and that will really start as we go towards the weekend here, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But tomorrow we do have 3 marginal risk zones back into the high plains, the Rockies here, up towards the far West Pacific here, getting into the Midwest as well, Illinois, getting into Wisconsin, Iowa here, level 1 risk out of 5, and then 1 down into Texas. We don't have a highlighted 2% tornado risk tomorrow, but they are less than 2%, but not zero probability. So in those marginal risk zones, we could see a brief chance of an isolated tornado. The wind threat and the hail threat are going to be the primary threats. Hail 1 to 2 inches in diameter and 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible in those marginal risk zones. And then we go into the day 3 forecast, and once again, another marginal risk zone day back down here into Texas again. Continue to see a kind of a boundary that's set up here, giving us instability, some dew points that'll be sufficient for severe weather. So marginal hail, marginal wind back down in the Texas again, Waco, Lufkin, San Antonio areas there. And then another marginal risk here is we do have a little disturbance in our trough, or troughing that's going to develop going into Wednesday here that could give us, or not Wednesday, going into Thursday, that could give us a little marginal, maybe even a slight risk threat here for the high plains in the mid-central plains here. So that's going to be through the next 3 days here. We don't have anything highlighted on the day 4 through 8 outlook, but as of right now, the possibility of severe weather going into the end of the weekend is also on the table here, as we could see a couple of outlined risk zones going into Saturday, going into Friday, going into Sunday for severe weather aloft up into the high central plains area for some MCSs, once again, those mesoscale convective days, and we'll keep you guys updated on that as things change with that. I want to run over the Texas area, New Mexico area here just briefly here for you guys so you can see what's going to be happening in that slight risk and marginal risk down here. That MCS will be weakening, potentially could see some re-intensification later on this afternoon as it moves into western and central Louisiana. I do think it'll be a pretty stormy day down here in Louisiana today. General thunderstorms with a marginal risk for hail and wind. You can see showers and supercells firing off later on this afternoon back into West Texas and southern New Mexico. We once again could see an MCS develop later on overnight tonight, and that will be moving its way through central Texas and southern Texas in the overnight hours here, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. The main threats there, and some small hail with a brief isolated tornado. So nothing too significant today. I'm not really going to go over the other areas because it's very, very isolated to scattered nature storms. Wind and hail would be the primary threats for those other risk zones up and along the East Coast, back down in the Gulf states here, and up into the West Pacific as well. The main thing I want to talk about, guys, is our pattern here. And you can see our pattern that's going on. We've been having a lot of dips in our jet stream, allowing for severe weather to happen. You can start to see, continue to see here a high pressure system developing here. We've got a little bit of shear down here, which is giving us today a severe weather threat. Remember, you don't have to have a lot of shear to get severe weather. And we've got a big dip in the jet stream with our troughing here, allowing for severe weather along the Gulf states and along the East Coast here, where that negatively tilted trough, or neutral to negatively tilted trough, will be moving out into Canada later on this afternoon. Now, as we go through today and tomorrow, there will still be, like I said, severe weather days down here in Texas through today, through tomorrow, going into Thursday here. But what I want you guys to see is what's going to happen as we go into Thursday and Friday here. There will be a little bit of a disturbance on Friday where we could see some pretty decent elevated severe weather along the Rockies here, going up into the high plains. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to start to see ridging develop. Once this low pressure system officially falls apart here on Friday across the plains, we will start to see ridging, and everybody that's underneath of this high pressure ridge here will be continuing to see humid, hot air, and it's going to be less stormy. There still will be some general thunderstorms. You can't rule that out anytime you have summertime storms or summertime temperatures going on, but the severe weather really will start to subside, and that will shift more in terms of the northern high plains here. And you can see going into Saturday and Sunday here, we will start to introduce a more active pattern up here, like I said, into the high plains. There will be some troughs moving through, some upper level lows moving through, high pressure dominating. It's going to be a beautiful rest of the week here in the Ohio Valley, the southeast, and going into the northeast, especially going into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I don't expect much in terms of severe weather then. And then we go into next week and the 17th and beyond, and we could see once again that ridge already break down, giving us a threat for more severe weather. I do expect another active third week of June. Somewhere in this area here, we could see some severe weather, whether it be multiple areas, like one area, two areas. We'll find more about that as we go into next week, but there will be more severe weather days. And then again, that will clear out and we'll really start to see our big, I'm thinking our summertime ridge will eventually start to develop. We typically get a longevity period where we see just ridging, and then there will be some severe weather on the northern side of that ridge. And you can really see where zonal flow sets up, and this would signal, pretty decent severe weather up and down the area here from the high plains over to the northeast. Very, very warm and dry temperatures back down here into the lower 48 here, where we could see really not much of anything happen going into that third and fourth week of June. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. Then past that point, things get a little bit uncertain, but continuing to see significant troughing in the high plains, and typically going through the month of June, really through the end of June and July, we typically see most of our severe weather up in the high plains anyways, because that's where our ridging is on top or underneath of, and our troughing sits on top of. So that'll be something to watch for in terms of significant severe weather, maybe going to the third and fourth week of June here. Here's just an idea of our showers and thunderstorms. You're going to see lots of that across the board here. Like I said, you get a little bit of moisture, a little bit of shear, a little bit of daytime instability, and you're going to get showers and thunderstorms. And you really just see that through today, through tomorrow, through Friday, through Saturday, through Sunday here. And then, going into next week, we can actually see an organized severe weather threat on Sunday and Monday from the Dakotas back through Minnesota and Wisconsin, maybe even into Iowa there as well. And then maybe even some more severe weather back into the plains early next week again. And then just showers and thunderstorms, showers and thunderstorms, showers and thunderstorms are going to be the main thing here. And like I said, we'll watch the tropics, not expecting anything in the tropics as of the next 7 to 15 days. That is a good thing, but continuing to watch ridging and severe weather will be our main two conversations. That's why these videos aren't going to probably change too much in terms of what we talk about. That's typically what we see during the summer months here. One more thing I will mention to you guys here before we wrap things up is going to be just the overall QPF here, our rainfall totals over the next 7 to 10 days here. Once this loads here, we'll be able to show you guys. And you can see here that the higher totals already on the map here are going to be Texas. We could see a pretty significant of 3 to 5 inches of rainfall, maybe even some localized 5 to 8 inches anywhere around central and southern Texas here as we see these complexes of storms move through. Mostly also going to see an uptick in rainfall from Minnesota, for Wisconsin, up here in the high plains going through early next week. There will be some scattered isolated storms across the Ohio Valley, the southeast through the end of this week as well that could promote some 1 to 3 inch totals of rain, maybe some localized higher spots. But then you can see once again back over here into the West Pacific here in the West Coast, we see ridging starting to develop, allowing for really not much of in form of any rainfall. So we'll keep you guys updated on the forecast here. Remember, guys, we're going to do a lot of these fun live streams over the next couple of days. Come in, hang out, chat, get to know me. I'll get to know you guys, and we'll have some fun. Other than that, be safe, guys. Be weather aware, and we'll see y'all in the next one.